Dakota, they call him Coach Dakota. He's a badass trader from Utah. He's Topstep's #1. Dakota, they call him Coach Dakota. He's cool and collected. He's Topstep's #1.
Oh, Eddie just sent that to me this afternoon. Oh, how are you guys? Did that even come through? Did that come through? AI and Eddie and his AI music. I love it. Let's do a sound check, guys. I don't know about that one. Oh, I definitely will have to get me a good intro. That is for sure. I love Eddie. I love Eddie and Hoag. They are absolutely my favorite. Cracking up. Yeah, Eddie sent that to me this morning. It made me kind of smile. I smile a lot, actually. But anyway, let's get to it. As always, oh man. Okay. Welcome to Slow Markets, everybody. I'm Coach Dakota, Coach DBA. There's our Top Step risk disclosure. We all know this is not a signals class. We're going to be talking about the live markets as always. And yeah, this is not the signals class. You know, if you guys see me analyze the markets, please don't take a trade based solely off of any of the conversation tonight. It's really for educational purposes only. I was having some fun joking with some traders in Discord, talking about how they watch the tilt during my slow markets, just like Powell. Whenever Powell speaks during FOMC, whenever I start talking about these different markets, they watch the tilt on the Top Step X, and they watch the tilt as I'm analyzing one of these markets and watch to see if the tilt goes in the direction of my bias. So I thought that was fun, but it's still in perspective, right? We want to make sure that this is for educational purposes only, and I'm able to answer your questions and be honest about answering these questions. But let's get started. You can see behind me, this is the NASDAQ daily chart, and we're getting this sell-off. We've been holding inside this daily candle that I was kind of looking at and monitoring on the 23rd. We went up, we tested almost near the high of the candle, and we sold off. We broke down below that, and already tonight we're starting to sell off. I know there was no news, and I think when I just go on to, I'm always slow to get the news. There was some unplanned news. Maybe it was planned about Trump being guilty on the trial. So maybe that could be the reason why we did sell off. We almost touched 18,500. But all that being said, we do have some major news tomorrow, and even in the morning, right? We do have core CPI for the euro. We have CPI flash estimates for the euro. So we're going to see some volatility during the London session, and especially during the London markets. We're going to see a lot of volatility then. And then, of course, our amazing core PCE tomorrow morning, 7:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. It's going to be fun. Coach Jay, myself, and MP is going to be on for Fast Markets, and I'm super excited. Last Friday was not a great Friday for me, so we'll see how this Friday is going to be. Hopefully a lot better. Break even, I'll be thrilled. So that being said, kind of where are we at on the NASDAQ, right? If we're looking at the NASDAQ and we're looking for sell-offs, I'm going to be honest, guys. I think, and I've been wanting a pullback. We're getting the pullback. And that being said, what I like to do now that we're getting this type of a pullback is I look for zones to buy it. So we had this sell-off, and now it's time for me to look to buy the market. So the first thing I like to do, and this is something that maybe it's new to you. If you've joined me for slow markets before, you know I do this. I call this like an average true move, average true leg, call it whatever you want. I like to measure these moves that when we do have sell-offs like this kind of gives me an expected move, right? Like, okay, on average, if we do sell off before we start buying the market, this is kind of what I do sometimes. I don't do it all the time. Coach Jay, if you are here, if he shows up, he knows how crazy sometimes this works out, and how accurate this possibly could be on getting an expected move. And, sure enough, here we are again. It's pretty dang close, right? And now nothing's perfect in the market, and we know nothing perfect is in the market. But this gives me a decent zone to look for. So as you can see, I'm drawing these candles, or drawing these lines, and I'm just going from the top to the bottom of each of these sell-offs, right? Like an expected move on the daily chart. The next thing I like to do is draw a rectangle and kind of gets, okay, on average, we're about that big. Oh, there's Coach Jay. So look at that, Coach Jay. That's pretty interesting. Again, and time again, it's weird how this works. It's not one of those golden things, but it gives me an idea of what to expect on some of these sell-offs. And so based off of this, it's reasonable to say that maybe we could have a continuation down a little bit further, right? Like this is a zone. And so this means maybe I wouldn't be surprised if we see a further sell-off, because we technically, from a technical standpoint, have more room to the downside. And then the next thing I like to do is, okay, is there an area around 18,450, 18,400, this zone that I could possibly be looking for? The next thing I like to do is look left, and I say, okay, well, we do have maybe something like this. Like there's a lot of key support and resistance around there, right? Like there's resistance there, there's resistance throughout near the end of March, and then near the beginning of April that was acting as resistance. So that could be a key for tomorrow. And Coach Jay says anchored VWAP is 18,459. Man, that's weird how sometimes it just works out like that. Will it actually work out? You never know, right? That's the risk we take. That's part of being trading, is finding pattern recognition and trying to find opportunities in the market where we can get in. And then look at this. I'm literally doing this for the first time, guys. We do have this back on May 15th that I'm going to be paying attention to. We have some consolidation right around 18,400s, obviously a key psychological level. The high of that consolidation is like 18,430s, maybe. Yeah, so that's a good zone, and I dare say that this will be a reasonable place that I'm going to be looking for tomorrow to be buying if the opportunity shows itself. So I think that's fair enough to look on buying the dip. I think we're still in a buy the dip mentality. Are we in a buy the dip mentality? I mean, there are starting to be reasons to not, right? We have this sell-off, but as I just did that expected move on the daily chart, be greedy when people are fearful, be fearful when people are greedy. This is a nice move to the downside, and if we get those opportunities, and sure enough, we could probably even measure this one back on the end of April. We had that huge sell-off, right, back on April 30th, and that's probably going to, I think this is one I measured anyway. That's pretty much where we're at now. So I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow we have another nice rally and we're like, dang, we should have just bought the dip. I don't know. We'll see. We have that key CPI is right. CPI tomorrow. Anything could happen, but looking and trying to find realistic expectations going into tomorrow. So I'm not looking for a trade tonight. We did get that nice sell-off. And even if we do zoom into a 5-minute chart, man, we got a nice bounce the last 20 minutes, right? That was one heck of a bounce right off 502. That's so. That being said, I'm going to go over the trade I made today. That seems to be the talk of. I've got a lot of DMs and a lot of messages, from traders on why I took a trade today. I had a nice trade. Let me see if I could pull that up. Maybe if I could find it. Anyway, okay. So let me talk through that trade I did today. And then then I'll continue this because, yeah, it's a fair point. So what I was looking for, and it was very similar to what the house account and everyone was looking at, right? We had a very bearish day. We had a sell-off, and I'm going to point this out on the 60-minute chart first. So who remembers last night, what were we talking about? We were looking at trends, right? We were looking at trends, where the market could go. We're just looking at pivot points, support and resistance. Very basic, very simple stuff. It is the very first thing on the first top of our minds, right? And so we originally had this trend line last night, if you guys remember. So this was a little bit of that trend line, and this was something I was watching. We broke down that. We rallied up above, and we also had. This was support. Support became resistance, and we sold off. We sold off right back down. We made a new low. We bounced right off of support, right around 620s, and then we rallied. And we rallied right up into that resistance trend line. We also had, look, there's a lot of resistance here. There's some here, and right around, this was a key area, right around 700 in this zone. And when we zoom into a 5-minute chart, so here's a 5-minute chart. Now, there's a lot of drawings, so bear with me. I will always go through and delete it because I like a clean chart. The cleaner the chart for me, the better it is. It's just OCD. It's a pet peeve of mine. And so while we were going, now it's easy to hindsight trade, but I did take this trade in my live account, and I built a big position size. So that being said, I was looking for 600. Everyone knows that. I was on the YouTube chat saying, we could break down a key level right around 600, maybe a test of the lows, and we were rallying up. We got to around 700, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to look to take a short. And the reason why I was looking to short in this zone, this is my zone, we had a lot of support here, and support could become resistance. The next area I was looking for was right at the 17s, right? Like 717, 718. We have a little bit here around 720. So this was my zone. This is a little bit of a big zone. It's about a 19, 20 point zone. And so as I've talked about a lot during slow markets about scaling in, looking at this zone and trying to build a position. And that's exactly what I was doing. So originally, let's see if I could freaking pull up. Now, bear with me. I took this on my phone. Let's see if I could say a prayer here and see if Ninja Trader has these orders. If not, I'll walk through them. I don't want to pull them up on Rhythmic again. You guys are just going to have to trust me. I just don't want to go through that whole process and pull them up on Rhythmic. So let's see if this will work. Oh, fingers crossed. Dang it. Okay. Not the phone screenshots again. Anyway, so I'm just going to walk through it. I need to stop taking trades off my phone. But when I switched to Topstep X, then I don't have to worry about this. But anyway, what I did was I started building the position. I managed this trade on my phone. Okay. I set my levels up. I know my levels throughout the day. And then I just watch it on Rhythmic Trader Pro. And yeah, everyone knows. So what I did, and everyone was probably following me on the YouTube chat, is I started building the position right around 695. 18,695. I got short one contract, and then I got short another contract and then another contract. So I was short 3 contracts right around 695, 697. I know Nick for the tick, he was actually looking to get into a short around here as well. And we had that nice bounce up. And when we got this bounce, I ended up getting into 6 more contracts. So I added right as we got into the zone. I got in during the bounce. And let me zoom into a 1-minute chart, and maybe we could go through this a little bit better. Okay, there we go. There is those orders. And so I'm going to draw some horizontal lines to go through my level. So my level was from 695 to 618, 620-ish. And so what I was looking at, this is a 1-minute chart, and this was my stop loss. Okay, so this was like my ultimate hard stop loss, end all be all. It was right around 735, right at the top of this pivot. Okay, and so I'm like, I'm going to get into short around this zone for between 695 and around 620. I'm going to have a hard stop at 735, and I'm going to build as I gain confidence this position. And then there's a little bit of what we've been talking about, like, okay, we have the mechanics of trading, and then we have some intuition, right? We have the, what do we call it? Mechanics and discretion. Discretion, intuition, experience, whatever you want to call that. So I was in 9 contracts as we bounced up, okay? And then we sold back down. I was still holding, waiting. We ended up showing a doji. Or we have a couple dojis here. And then as soon as we broke down below this again, I added 10 contracts. So I added 10 contracts. So now bear with me. And I was in a total of, I think, 19 contracts at this point. Come on. Okay, so 19 contracts at this point. And then this was one of my final ads. We had that run of liquidity. I added my final 11. I remember it was like 1 order plus 10 orders right here. I got into 11 contracts there. I did move my stop loss to 729 3/4. I do remember that. And this was my final area where I was in 30 contracts short based off of this. And, sure enough, we did end up selling off. And I'll have to remember exactly where it is. So after we started selling off, I did trail my stop loss. And I'm like, okay, I'm 30 contracts short. I'm going to trail my stop loss immediately. We did sell off. I moved my stop loss to 709, locked in profit immediately. My average price was around like 714.5. So my average price for the 30 contracts was around 714.5. Now remember, my daily loss limit is 9,000. And so I was looking for a, 4-to-1 risk reward, 3-to-1 risk reward or better. I wasn't going to risk the full 9,000. I was going to risk, okay, as I'm building this position, I want to make sure I'm focusing on skills, focusing on this. And just like the last time I shorted the market, I don't know, I've been just shorting the market looking for this pullback. And sure enough, I've had 2 great opportunities, one last week and now this week. And sure enough, we sold off, and I continued to move my stop loss, and I moved it to where these pivots are. As you guys could see, these pivots, we're on a 1-minute time frame, but remember, I'm watching these pivots on a 100 tick chart. I just don't want to switch to a 100 tick chart. It's essentially the same pivots. And then I moved it to 690. And when we started to get down around this level, around the 18,660s, I think it was this big giant sell-off, and it happened really fast. That was a crazy one. Unfortunately, I didn't have a take profit, and I didn't close it at this point. And so I was getting a little bit nervous. I was thinking, to myself, crap, why did I not just close it out on this quick run and this sell-off? And we started rallying. I'm like, I missed my opportunity. I managed that very, very bad. That was a really bad management by my end, by not having some take profits down into this level. I mean, especially since we had pivots here, right? This happened really quick. We just immediately dumped all the way down to basically 651. and then rallied right back up. It was like a, what is it? A 20, 30 point sell off followed by a 30 point rally. And then you can imagine how I was thinking, because I was out at lunch during this, and I was just managing my stop loss. I didn't have a take profit. I was just managing my stop loss on my phone. I'm like, that was stupid. Why did I not have a take profit? I did get lucky, and I will be honest, there was some luck. I'm like, okay, you know what? Great. I kept my stop loss there. We had, look at this. This was all support right around 685s. This support acted as resistance, and it acted as very strong resistance. I ended up closing 10 contracts at 62. I think it was either down here. It was at one of that. Yeah, it was at 62 and a half. I closed 10 contracts at 662 and a half, and then I left 20 contracts on throughout most of the power hour, and we did chop. There was a lot of chop all the way to the end of power hour, and then as soon as we started selling off again, I went ahead and just scaled out on this move, and I ended up closing the rest of my contracts off around like 630s, like 641, 639, 638, and I ended up being flat in this zone. And then, of course, like always, the markets will always leave you unsatisfied, and we just tanked and sold off dramatically after that. And, of course, you think, like, well, I wish I would have just held it throughout this entire time. But, we're getting the last 30 minutes of the session, just closed flat, and I was happy with that. And then, of course, yeah, markets will just always leave you unsatisfied, and I think it's just a good example, and it's going to be something I'm going to talk to Coach Jay and of course NP and during fast markets tomorrow. Just, man, how many times do I just wish I could go back? I mean, very much. Last week I made $35,000 in the day, and it was the same thing. I was thinking to myself, if only I would have held longer, I would have made 60,000. If I would have held longer, I would have made this much. And, we could always go back through this and think the same exact thing. If I would have held longer, I would have made more money. If I would have done this, I would have made more money. And we could always think about that. So that last week when I made that $35,000, it was shorting here. And then I ended up closing for take profit here. So I shorted at like 916 and I covered at like 860. So this was my short from the last time I was short 30 contracts. And then we sold off another 200 points. And yeah, that's the same feeling I had today, where same story, right? I was short from this area and I closed it, halfway through there. And then we sold off another 100 plus points. And so as frustrating as that can be when after the move happened and with hindsight, we have to accept it. I have to accept it as well. That's what we do as traders, because we're always going to be unsatisfied in the market. And that's the reality of trading. Maybe we could learn, maybe I should have learned and said, you know what, maybe I'll just hold 5 contracts even longer into the end of the day. But I don't know. I ended up with 40,000 in profit on this one trade, risking about 7,000 because I was already up 2K. I was actually only up 12. I was up $1,200 because of Hoag. So big shout out to Hoag. If you're listening, he had an amazing short on ES, and I did place that trade with him and made $1,200 on it. So huge shout out to Hoag. That helped out dramatically as well. So it wasn't purely on this one trade, but yeah, it was about like 39,000 on this trade, and then the 1,200 from Hoag's that I kind of followed his lead on it. So that being said, yeah, I'm going to wait till tomorrow. We're going to see a lot of volatility tonight during the London session. I am looking for this key level to maybe some buys, maybe to look for maybe if there is an opportunity to get long around the 400s to 430s. I'm going to wait till tomorrow. Maybe Coach Jay and I will look at this, and if this becomes an opportunity, I would be looking to take along around this zone between 437, 440, and 400, right? This is a decent zone, and if the market does sell off and we see some type of opportunity down here to take a good risk reward, that's going to be what I'm looking at going into tomorrow for the NASDAQ. So now, that being said, if you guys have questions, feel free. We have an amazing moderator team. There's a lot of questions in here, but let me do a quick rapid fire to go through some of these other markets, and then I will get to these questions. An hour goes fast, guys. An hour goes really fast, and we have a lot of questions. So let's go to this. Here's crude oil. Man, I did not place any trades on crude oil yet. I'm kind of happy, because if I did, most likely I would have been getting long in this mess, and I would have taken a loss. So this was one trade I was happy I did not take, because I almost guarantee you I would have got long here around the 78, just like I was talking about last night on this pullback. But the pattern continues, guys, here for crude oil. The pattern is continuing. We sell these highs, and are we going to have an opportunity to buy these lows? Yeah, so this will be one where I'm going to be the guy that's looking to buy down here. The question is, where do I buy, right? If I'm looking for this pattern, this consolidation in crude oil to continue, the first area I see is maybe I'm actually looking at these like little standalone pivots right around 7730s, 7740s, right there. This could be an area that can show an opportunity to buy. And of course, this last one is going to be down here around 7650s. So this is the two key zones I'm going to be looking at for crude oil. Is if we get down to 7730s, 7740, do I look to get long here, or do I look to get long around 76, 40, 7650? Those are the two ones, right? Obviously, when it comes to risk reward, I would much rather get long at 7640, because I could have a much tighter stop loss. Whereas if I'm getting long at 7740, it's a lot harder to get a stop loss, because then your stop loss is somewhere in between those two zones. And it's a lot harder, and the risk reward is not as great. But either or, maybe this is something that we could be looking at, Coach Jay and I, in the morning, and it's something I'm going to be definitely looking to see if we could get a house account on here. See if we could get long crude oil tomorrow. Let's see. Let's go ahead and clear here. I don't think I'll put an order in tonight, though. If we didn't have the big news tomorrow, then yeah, maybe there's an opportunity to put a buy limit right around like 7730, or maybe an extended buy limit at 7650s. If there wasn't news tomorrow, I would be looking maybe to place a couple buy limits and let them run overnight, as long making sure I have a stop loss in there, of course. Now let's take a look at Nikkei. Nikkei kind of followed suit, right? I mean, that was quite the sell-off yesterday that we talked about. We did get that nice rally that Coach Jay and I was talking about last night. We got that rally. We did hit the 3,800. We got to 3,808, and then we pulled back. So, yeah, maybe there was an opportunity. You could have possibly made money on that. I could have possibly made money on that short trade last night. Most likely I would have been stopped out just by the way this was. If I got short, I was looking to short at 38,000 even. My stop loss was probably going to be right here. So I would have either been stopped out there. If not, most likely I would have been stopped out on that second push, because I would have been looking for probably 37,800. I don't think I would have closed it out for profit. So this one definitely would have been a loss. So I'm glad I did not take that one. But as I'm speaking now, we're starting to sell off here on the Nikkei. So maybe, just maybe, this could be something that we're looking at in the making as I'm talking. Is this was a nice sell-off, and is this something just like what happened today during the New York session? Are we seeing a pullback and a trend continuation? Maybe, actually. Yeah, as I'm talking, am I... Oh, I would definitely want to take this trade. It's just that there's news tomorrow, and I don't want to hold a trade overnight when we have the news coming out in the Euro and London session, and then we have the major news coming for early before pre-market, right? So if there was no news tomorrow, I would be in a short. That I think I would be able to find a short in this zone. Yeah. Yep, that's going to be the way I look at Nikkei. I'm looking at Nikkei to follow suit with the New York session and continue to sell off. If we do break below maybe 38,000, then maybe look to test these lows around 37,600s. But I do not want to get in before we have a volatile London session and key inflation news. And I know everyone's going to be watching this inflation data come in. I almost guarantee it. So yeah, there's the Nikkei. Let's take a look at gold, and then we'll answer some questions before finally getting over to the ES and the Japanese yen. So gold, I have mixed feelings on the gold. I'm not as short as I once was, as I was feeling short, right? Because we had that huge sell-off, and sure enough, here it is again, a pullback and then the continuation. However, we didn't really have any follow-through on this break. The exact opposite. We kind of rallied up. So I zero bias on gold tonight, guys. I think we're just kind of in the middle. We're in the middle here in gold, and I just want to be hands off, especially going into tomorrow. So I think I keep referring to tomorrow's news and the London session being a key factor because we do have London news on doing that. So I'm going to stay hands off in the markets tonight, and it's Friday, right? I've already had a great trading week. I don't want to give anything back that fast, and I want to keep tomorrow open and wait for the news to come out, and then just kind of trade the afterglow with Coach J and MP. So I think that's going to be my final say is just try not to force anything. It's Friday. If you already have a bad week, you don't want to make it worse by trying to force anything before big news. If you already have a great week or even a good week, or it doesn't really matter what kind of week you're having, right? You just don't want to ruin it or make it worse to end going into the weekend like I did last week. And I did that last week. I had a good week last week, and I kind of soured it a little bit by losing 9,000 on Friday. If I didn't lose that 9,000 on Friday, I would have finished like plus 34,000, but I ended up giving 9 of it back. So I don't want a repeat of last week where I had an amazing Thursday. I think it was last Thursday I made the 34,000. Let's look. Let's look at this, and then I'll get to your questions. I can never remember my freaking passwords. Okay, here we go. Maybe if it loads. Okay, here's my live account. So yeah, so we could look last week. This was my week last week right here from May 20th, right? So I started the week off 9,000, and then I had a great middle. And then, yeah, it was Thursday. So it was Thursday where, I had $34,000 on a winning short trade. And then Friday, I gave back 9,400. This week, I actually started out really good. So I started out with 15K. Tuesday, light day. Didn't really trade much. I had a lot going on Tuesday. But still plus 1,000. Am I missing? No, it was Wednesday. Do I really have my days that screwed up? No, it's Thursday. Oh, it's a short week. Yeah. So this was Tuesday. Yeah, this was Tuesday. Technically Monday. Then this was Wednesday. And then this is Thursday. Okay, that's right. I forgot Monday was a holiday. It's a short week. Man. But anyway, it's still kind of the same thing, right? Where I don't want to end like I did last week, where I have a really big Thursday and then give some of it back. So going to try and keep it there. If anyone was considering I'm still only it's only been 75 days, guys. It's only been little over 3 months since I've been on this account. My daily P&L's like 2K, and there's my statistics. It's starting to get a bigger sample size. It's only been 76 days. To me, I'm going to be looking at maybe July being a good enough sample size to really start to dive in depth in the statistics. And maybe we could start doing it in July, diving more in depth, and we could start talking about the way I view my statistics, to where I could say, okay, how does Coach Dakota view his statistics? And maybe I could get this in an Excel sheet, and I could start breaking it down in depth. Because there is ways to improve this. Don't get me wrong. I am not the best trader, and I'm sure there's going to be ways I could come into here and improve it and find little things like, why the heck did I start off a Monday minus 9,000? Why did I start off or finish a Friday minus 9,000? Start off Monday minus 9,000. So I think in July, once I start to get a lot more statistics here, we could break this down together, and then maybe I could start showing you what I look at in terms of how I view my trading, where I'm being emotional, maybe some different trades. And just immediately, just to give you guys some example, is one thing I like. This is a key metric that we could look at, is maybe total contracts, right? Number of trades. How many trades did I take that day? How many trades am I taking during my losing days versus my winning days? How many contracts am I taking during my losing days versus my winning days? And then, of course, you could see, today, 10 trades. I don't know how this is being calculated because I was scaling into a position, right? So maybe the system counts it as like 8 trades when I was just getting in, building a position. Maybe contracts is a little bit more telling. So maybe I could say, you know what, on this great winning day, I had 66 contracts. But then on my losing day, I had double the amount of contracts. So maybe there is something that comes to this, to where I shouldn't be trading more than X amount of contracts in a day, or else those days become losing days. I'm not sure. It's going to be interesting to go through this. And as I go through it, I could maybe answer questions on what I like to look at, what I like to focus on and work on outside of some of these key metrics. Of course, these are the main ones, right? Average winner, average loser, your risk reward, and then your winning trade percentage. And then, of course, the major one, which is average profitability per trade. So there's a lot of things to take into consideration when analyzing your statistics. So don't focus on the dollar amount as much because you could essentially apply these same concepts regardless of what account size you're doing. It's not about the dollar amounts. It's about percentages, right? Because we all have a daily loss limit. This is my daily loss limit. A 50K account is a different daily loss limit. A 150K account is a different daily loss limit. It's more about percentages. I hit my daily loss limit. How many times am I hitting my daily loss limit? And maybe find some way that we could correlate it and have, a good class on that. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm planning on doing it July when I get a lot more days in. Only 75 days. I think closer to maybe 100 days is going to be a lot better. In 100 days of trading, then that is a bigger sample size to take into consideration your statistics. Okay, let's get to some questions, and then we'll jump over to the ES and the Japanese yen. Okay, all these questions. How do you get your levels? King D. I get my levels by very basic technical analysis. You guys, you get to see me do that every single night when I'm on slow markets or when I'm on TopstepTV. I talk about how I get my levels. It's very simple, very straightforward. Dakota, how much drawdown do you have allowed? 9,000. 9,000 is my daily loss limit, just like anybody else. Don't try this at home. Yeah, if you can't do it in one account, don't do it in multiple accounts, and practice makes perfect. If you could do this in a 50K account, then that should give you the confidence in doing it in a 100K account or 150K account, and can you continue to grow it, right? You don't need to jump into a 150K account. You could do it with a small account. Dakota, I was like 99% sure you were down to 10 contracts when it bounced. You normally would have those pivot limits buys, it's true. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Danielle. Plus 1,400 on 2 XFAs on Nikkei. Congratulations, Junior. I love to hear wins. And by that, and I know I watch Topstep TV like everybody else, and whenever anything happens on Topstep or on Twitter or social media, I get traders messaging me like, hey, did you see this? Did you see that? Because everybody knows I don't have social media. And so that's been a fun way for me to keep up with everything that's going on is, you guys, and I love it. Traders are giving me some of the information is the Topstep 10 leaderboard is, I really do hope I see a lot more traders up there with me. And we all know during the Topstep TV, there was a little, what was it? Was it Robert that maybe give that clue? So we'll have some fun news. I don't know the news. I really do hope that there's traders out there that once they figure out the top 10 leaderboard that hopefully is above me and hopefully is doing a lot better than I am. So I'm excited for that. We'll see. And I want to make sure that everybody knows I want traders to do better than me. Like, that's the point. That's the goal, right? Because my goal is to help traders, and as a community here at Topstep and as our amazing Discord is to have the best of the best and to have traders do as good as possible because we're all in this together, right? Next, Dakota, how much drawdown did you suffer through in today's trade? Today's trade, that's a good question. It didn't hit my stop loss, so I know it was probably around $7,000 worth of drawdown on today's trade, maybe. My stop loss was like right around 8,000 if I remember right. Okay, Andrew Reyes, when you have a zone level on a chart, what's your indicator that the zone is valid and will work? Or do you just look for the best place to have a small stop? Ooh, that is a great question. So how do we know if a zone is going to work? We don't, right? We never know if a zone is going to work until after the fact. However, we could mainly just try and position ourselves into as good of a position as we can, right? We never know if a zone's going to work. And right here, let's take a look at this example. Let's just say this is a zone, right? From the bottom of the candlestick to that whole entire wick, from say 780 to 760. Let's just say this is a zone. And when we're getting this pullback, the zone starts right here at 760s, right? Say right there, that's the start of the zone. That's the end of the zone. So how do we know this zone is going to work? We don't, right? Until after the fact. It's either going to break above it or reverse. This one happened to maybe have a little bit higher, run some stops. This is an obvious, like, hey, we ran some stops right here, and then we turned around and sold off. So I think that's going to be similar to what happened to today's session, right? We were very close, right? It's very hard to tell until after it's happened, but we just got to understand this is a zone, and this could be an area that the market possibly could turn around. And if there's signs that follow my strategy, then I want to take advantage of that opportunity if the market turns around. But if not, then I'm going to be willing to take this big of a loss and make sure everything's defined, make sure we understand that, because zones don't work all the time. Markets don't always honor zones or support and resistance. You just never know, right? Today was another example where I was looking at this zone and we had that nice run up, and very well, that could have went up another 5-10 points and stopped me out. You never know. And then I would have been like, hey, guess what, guys? I took a big loss today, and, let's see how tomorrow goes. It could have been a completely different trading day, just depending on what the market gives me. When am I going to be doing a London stream? Linda, stay tuned. I will be giving more details on the London stream starting next week. It's the first of the month, or it's going to be the first week of the month. And I will be able to give those details next week. It's probably going to be only 1 or 2 classes to start with, because London session is 1 a.m. for me. And I've been waking up at 6 a.m. on my time because I've been trading the New York session. So I don't want to really screw my sleep schedule up too much. But I do understand that there's going to be that demand for the London session. Danielle, are you going to stay up with me? You're going to stay up with me for the London session, right, Danielle? I will do it if Danielle does it with me. Danielle will be my guest if my very first London session. Is that fair enough? Oh, wow. Okay, there we go. You heard it. Danielle's going to commit. My first London session, Danielle's going to be the guest. Yeah, you said it. We're screenshot that. That's verbal is binding. Verbal is binding. Yes. There we go. Yeah, everyone sees it. Everyone loves that. So Danielle's going to be my first guest on the London session. She'll be half asleep, falling asleep, and I'll probably talk her to sleep. We could. So stay tuned, guys. We'll figure it out. Stay tuned. Maybe next week we'll have a better idea of the time, and you guys will know well ahead of time to prepare for it. Daniel, Dakota, who's the best trading buddy post trade? Well, my best trading buddy, and I'm going to leave out that last part. Rips is 100% my best trading buddy. So stay tuned. Me and Rips are always having fun. Me and him are there on Tuesday mornings. Rips is 100%. We're always talking off screen. We're always talking about trading and that. So I think I got to most of these questions. Okay. Anyway, keep the questions coming. I don't have a private channel to talk with. You guys can definitely message me on the Topstep Discord. In the Topstep Discord, I do have a channel under Coach Dakota. Sometimes I get on there and I'm able to message back and forth, but I'm very busy and I won't always be on there 24/7, right? But Topstep has an amazing Discord, and I have a channel in there that I poke my head in there as much as I can. Coach Jay. Well, Coach Jay is up there as well. Dakota, why am I not taking payouts? Oh, man. Yeah, so Mark Allen. I'm going to address this, and I'm going to talk about ES and then the Japanese yen, because this is important. This is important just as much as any of these other questions. Why have I not taken a payout yet, or a big payout? Okay, so I did take $3,000 out at the very beginning to pay a lot of my expenses, basically cover the cost for what I've paid. So my costs are covered. I took out $3,000, okay? And then I took out $125 to cover the live account data fees, because this is a live account. It's a professional trader, and you have data fees in live account. That's the reality of trading live, right? And so I took out $125 payout to pay for that. And yeah, MP told me I shouldn't be taking out that. And actually, I don't mind. I know he doesn't mind if I share. I know MP doesn't mind if I share this. And Mick says the same thing, like, Dakota, take a payout. Dakota, take a payout. And MP said the same thing. He's like, hey, you should take a payout. But I'm not taking a payout for a reason. And I will explain this tomorrow morning if MP is on, which I think he is maybe right. Yeah, I'm sure MP is going to be on with us. And I will explain this to him tomorrow. I am not taking a payout because I want to show traders how to scale a single account. And once I get my account balance to a specific size, whether it's going to be 500,000, maybe I build it to 1 million, then I will show traders about account maintenance. So scaling account, a single account, and then once we scale it, and I go through that whole process of scaling an account, a single account, okay, then the question is going to be, okay, now I have this account size that I want to trade with. how do I maintain that account size while I take payouts and keep that account size? Because that's big, right? I'm not going to get into taxes. That's I could say that's a reason, but that's not the primary reason. Because when we want to trade for a living, we want to grow the account and we want to increase our income, right? And once we get to a decent size, a comfortable amount, whatever, then we want to know, okay, now I have the account I want to trade. How do I maintain that account size and continue to take payouts? Because that's the another hard part, right? Because if I have a $500,000 account, say a $500,000 account, then how do I take payouts and maintain that account size? And for example, I want to show traders and hopefully demonstrate it, because I could lose money too, and it's can be difficult. How do I keep my account size, take payouts consistently, and not worry about draining the account? Because that's hard, right? Say you have $100,000 and you want to take X amount of dollars every month to pay for your expenses. And then when you take out payouts, then your $100,000 account goes from 100,000 to say 95, then 95 to 90, then 90 to 85, and it slowly starts to dwindle away as you start taking payouts. And then you have that added pressure of, I have to trade to pay my bills. I have to trade to keep my account balance. And there's continually added pressure at different levels of trading. So yeah, I have a lot that I have planned that I hopefully get to show you guys and talk about. And we'll see how it goes. Maybe this is the level. I'll think about it. My trading account is at 256,000. So I'm at 256,000. So maybe, and I'll take some time to think about this, is maybe I'll do $250,000 account. And then I start to show and maintain that. I don't know. I'll think about it. I would really like 500K or just 1 million to keep it there. But we'll see. I'm only 70 days in. We'll see how this next couple months go. We will see. Oh man. Okay. Let's see. So many questions. It's already almost time to end the class. Real quick, I don't have much on ES. Let me talk about ES and the Japanese yen. ES, I don't have much to talk about on ES. Essentially, simple, basic technical analysis. We broke down below support. We rallied up. We tested resistance, and we sold off. And that looks like it was much easier than the NASDAQ. That was an easier trade than the NASDAQ. Maybe there's something to ES, guys. Like, look how simple and easy that trade was. So if you guys like ES, maybe that is, yeah, and ES supports, yeah. That was simple and easy. I should have been trading ES. That would have been a lot less volatile. So there's a perfect example, right? So, and yeah, here we are. We are right down at the bottom of this support zone on ES back in the middle of May. And guess what? This support is becoming support again, right around 52.34, all the way up to, maybe we get back up to 52.50. I could see us getting back up to 52.50. But yes, ES looks like it's a lot more cleaner than the NASDAQ. And that is very clear and obvious to me right here, right now on the 60-minute chart. This was support. We broke down below support. We rallied up to resistance twice, it looks like. So there was maybe an opportunity for two trades, right? We went up. We tested it for the first time, respected it, sold off. We went up. We tested it again, respected it again, and sold right back off. So, dang, ES seems like it's very simple. So maybe there's a good example. If you are new and if you like to trade, maybe ES is just a better market in terms of volatility and simplicity, right? For beginners. So yeah, JT, ES respects the levels way better. I mean, if that's not a clear picture right now, I don't know what is, right? And it did it again, even the other day, right? We broke down this support level of 296. We broke down, we rallied up, support became resistance, and that was another great trade. So ES is looking really clean, guys. I don't trade ES a lot, but I'm getting excited looking at ES. So maybe I turn into an ES trader. I'm not sure. If ES is easier, maybe I could start taking a lot more ES trades during the New York session, and maybe I watched the ES during the New York session. We'll see. It's looking a lot cleaner. That is for sure. Japanese yen. I don't know. I don't know about the Japanese yen, guys. Essentially, I think we continue this trend. We had this nice little spike up, and now we're starting to see this trend continue. I don't plan on a big reversal on the Japanese yen. I want to continue to watch this. So if I was to trade the Japanese yen now, I would expect something like this to continue. So I'm going to expect this and a move down. I'm going to watch this. I'm going to continue to watch the Japanese yen. But I'm going to expect this. Let's see if we get a continuation and a continued sell-off of the Japanese yen, and see if this little rally, like these other rallies, have been opportunities to short. So this is a watch and see market for me. That's why I'm not really talking about it until the end. But I am liking ES a lot, guys. I'm really liking ES. Not so much the Japanese yen, but I will continue to watch the Japanese yen for the next month. Okay, a couple more questions, and then we'll get this to a close here. Dakota, is your style the same style when you were passing combines, or did you switch it up? I know it should be in maintenance mode, but psychologically passing combines, I'm struggling. The way I passed my combines is exactly the same way I'm trading now. It is. The only difference is sizing. Will I ever join the Robbins Cup? I've heard of the Robbins Cup before, but remind me what it is. Is it like a trading cup where you compete for a trophy? Remind me, guys. I remember hearing about it. I don't remember where. A world championship. Do you trade like a live account and get a big payout? Is it like if you win, you make like a pool, like money? How much money? How long is it? Give me details. I'm curious now. Major leagues, best traders in the world. Do you trade a live account? It's a 1 year. You have to put 10K in and trade live money. You deposit, so I pay $10,000 and I trade that. I mean, I would rather spend my time trading my personal account or my bigger trading account. To make $10,000 off $10,000 is pretty difficult, but for me to make $10,000 when I'm trading a $250,000 account is a lot worth my time. I'm going to pass on that. You win a trophy and bragging rights. Nah, okay. If that's all it's really for, then I'm going to say no. I'm excited for the Topstep Trading League. So there's that. It's all for ego and publicity. Yeah, I'm going to pass. Yeah, I would rather trade my own account because, like I said, trading's one of my primary incomes, and I focus on making money rather than competitions. But if I'm able to trade my same account the same way, then sure. I mean, that's what I like. What Topstep's doing is I could trade my live account here at Topstep and trade it exactly the way I'm doing. And we have a great leaderboard, and we could watch traders and see how traders are doing. I'm excited for the Topstep Trading League. Yeah, I don't know. Charity idea at Topstep instead. Yeah, we were still talking about that, guys. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. We still have a lot to figure out. There's no promises. Like I said, it's more of like a brainstorming, and that's why I was looking yesterday. If you guys were not here yesterday, we was really just brainstorming about a trade for charity type thing. I am not sure. We'll see. There's so many ways that we could go about this, but overall, my original idea, I talked to Danielle, and I was like, hey, Danielle, here's an interesting idea. What if I just dedicate an hour during power hour or fast markets where I trade, and any of the profits, I take a payout and just donate it to a charity, or I do some type of a scholarship for traders. We will see. There's so many ways we could go about this. There's so many details that we have to figure out. We have so much going on. There's so much going on. So many moving plates, so many things that I want to do and everyone wants to do. And it's going to be a crazy summer. Just so many things to do and no time to do it. Yeah, we'll see. Deeper into reading markets. This is as deep as I get, guys. I don't get much deeper than this. This is typically as deep as I get. This is how I trade. This is okay. Don't take this the wrong way. I know there's a lot more guys here than girls, but this is as much in depth into market analysis that I typically go. Keeping it super simple. Here in slow markets, it's a 100 tick chart, or not 100, a 60-minute chart to a 5-minute chart. Yeah, there's not as much depth that I go into. What you guys see is what you get. And even when I'm not in a class, that is about as in-depth as I get. You could watch maybe fast markets. I go a little bit more in depth because the markets are moving really fast, so I have much smaller time frames. But this is the same exact way that I trade. Maybe one of these times I'll have someone over and I could show you. I could have them take a picture or a video of me. That sounds weird. A video of me hosting slow markets, and you guys could see exactly how I have my computer monitors laying out. I have 4 monitors. One of them is for YouTube chat. One of them is for Discord and Slack. Then the other one is for OBS, where I'm able to make sure that my camera, everything good. And then my last one over here on the bottom right-hand side is for one chart. I only have one chart when I'm trading. During fast markets, it's just the same screen, but I split it up into 2. So maybe that would be an interesting. My computer specs, I'll have to break that down for you. I built my computer. Last year I built my computer. So anyway, I think that's it, guys. I will see you tomorrow morning, bright and early. If you guys are going to show up, it's going to be me, the amazing Coach Jay, and MP. We're going to see about trading the house account, and it's going to be not a day where we're just selling a market rally. So I think I learned a lesson, and that was definitely something to learn. Not sell into a market that's rallying on a Friday. So hopefully we get a market rally after we bought. So tomorrow's going to be fun. We have that big news event early in the morning. We have the news that's coming out during the London session. So great to have you guys. And I will see you either tomorrow morning, if not Monday night. Take care, everybody.